Its energy surrounds us and binds us.
You here with a mission, sir?
I am.
Trying to get me back in the world?
Trying to save it.
Hydra's secret weapon.
Howard Stark fished that out of the ocean when he was looking for you. He thought what we think. The Tesseract could be the key to unlimited sustainable energy. That's something the world sorely needs.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Carbonite Combos, and thank you for joining us for another Marvel short story. Today, the point where we're at in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is post-Avengers Endgame. So far, these movies have brought us many different aspects of the iconic Marvel comics, but what lie at the heart of the past decade of MCU films are the 6 Infinity Stones. These stones were each created from one of 6 singularities which existed before the universe itself. Today we're focusing on the Space Stone and its journey through the MCU housed inside the Tesseract. We know that this crystalline cube contained the Space Stone, but before Thanos crumbled it in his hands, finally revealing the Inner Stone in Avengers Infinity War, the Tesseract had been in many interesting places throughout history. The first known existence of the Tesseract was on Asgard, where it was kept in Odin's vault for centuries. We don't know exactly when, but we do know that Odin himself brought it to Earth and left it in a small town in Norway. Here, it was hidden in a mural of the world tree, Yggdrasil. The first time we see the Tesseract itself is in 1942, during the height of World War II. Johann Schmidt, the leader of Hydra and otherwise known as the Red Skull, believed that the Tesseract contained the power of the gods. He invaded the town in Norway and took the cube to combine it with the work of Dr. Arnim Zola to create energized weapons with power that the Earth had never seen before. At the end of Red Skull and Captain America's final fight, Red Skull picks up the Tesseract and was beamed into space, which was assumed to be his death. We later find out in Infinity War that he was burdened with the task of guarding the Soul Stone on Vormir for all eternity. As Red Skull was beamed into space, the Tesseract fell to the floor of his ship and burned its way through the vessel until it fell into the Arctic Ocean below, where it was later found by Howard Stark during his search for Steve Rogers' frozen body. The cube was then kept at Camp Lee in New Jersey, where S.H.I.E.L.D. was eventually founded. Stark then spent the next decades studying the Tesseract while helping develop Project Pegasus, a project which was meant to harness the Tesseract's power. Mar-Vell, a Kree scientist who took on the form of human and called herself Dr. Wendy Lawson, eventually joined the project and was then given the cube in the 1980s, which she used to create her Lightspeed engine. This device was made to help the Skrull people in the war between them and the Kree civilization. The Tesseract remained in Mar-Vell's cloaked laboratory in Earth's orbit until 1995 when Captain Marvel recovered it. During these few years between, Yon-Rogg killed Mar-Vell on Earth while looking for the Tesseract. After Dr. Lawson's murder, Carol Danvers shot at an energy core created from the Tesseract, leading to an explosion that infused Danvers with the Tesseract's energy and made her the Captain Marvel we know today. After her retrieval of the cube in 1995, the cat-like Flerken called Goose swallowed the cube and later upchucked it on Nick Fury's desk. It was then secured by S.H.I.E.L.D., where it stayed until 2012, when Loki came to Earth to steal it. Up until this point, the World Security Council and S.H.I.E.L.D. had used the Tesseract to develop advanced weaponry to combat the new otherworldly beings threatening the Earth. This research into this terrestrial artifact drove Loki to steal it, where he and Dr. Erik Selvig then used its power to create a wormhole right above New York City where he could unleash the Chitauri army upon Earth. As you know, this was the first time the 6 Avengers joined forces where they were able to defeat Loki and his army and recover the Tesseract. They also recovered Loki's spear, which was later found to contain the Mind Stone. After the Avengers' victory in New York City, Thor took Loki and the Tesseract back to Asgard, where Thor left it under the watchful eye of Asgard's gatekeeper, Heimdall. After Loki disguised himself as Odin during the time of Thor the Dark World set in 2013, he returned the Tesseract to Odin's vault, where it remained until Asgard's destruction by the fire giant Surtur. During he and the Avengers' escape from Asgard, Loki took the Tesseract from the vault. Shortly after, while looking for a new home for the Asgardian people, their ship was attacked by Thanos and the Black Order. Thanos then gained possession of the Tesseract, crushing it easily in his hand, finally revealing the Space Stone hidden beneath it. Infusing the stone with the Infinity Gauntlet, Thanos ultimately acquired all 6 stones, finishing his mission with the devastating snap, killing off 50% of life throughout the universe. About 3 weeks after the snap, Thanos then used all 6 Infinity Stones once more to destroy their very existence, thus putting an end to the Tesseract's timeline, or so we thought. The 2023 events of Avengers Endgame show the remaining Avengers time traveling to collect all 6 gems throughout history and bring back all life that vanished 5 years prior in 2018. During this mission, we see Steve Rogers and Tony Stark go back to a point in time where the Tesseract was at Camp Lee once again. It was then taken after Tony's run-in with his younger father, Howard Stark, and brought back to the present. The stone was then infused with the Nano Gauntlet along with the other 5 gems to harness their powers twice more to bring back all life that had vanished 5 years prior and to snap Thanos and his massive army out of existence. After Thanos' demise, the current timeline of the Tesseract and the rest of the Infinity Stones end as we see Cap return all 6 gems to their respective timelines, where he remains also in the past to live a normal life with Peggy Carter. Now, at the conclusion of the Infinity Saga, we're taxed with the question of if we'll ever see the Tesseract or any other Infinity Stones ever again. But the future does look bright, however. During the time heist of Avengers Endgame, we see Stark and Scott Lang fail to get the Tesseract, which is what led to Cap and Tony having to retrieve it from Camp Lee. During this failed attempt to retrieve the cube, we see Ant-Man disable the 2012 Tony's arc reactor, leading him to drop the Tesseract during a confrontation with Alexander Pierce. 2023 Tony then snatches up the Tesseract, but was quickly flung back by a door busted open by an angry Hulk. At this time, the Tesseract slides over to the feet of Loki, who was just apprehended due to the New York attack. Loki then picks it up while muzzled and handcuffed and disappears with the Tesseract into space. Right now, we can only imagine where he went, but we're led to believe that we'll very possibly see the Tesseract again in the future Disney Plus series, Loki. Again, thank you for tuning in to today's Marvel short story about the history of the Tesseract and the Space Stone, and we look forward to having you back again next week.
Remember, the Force will be with you. Always.